Welcome back to The Curious Yapper. I'm Madison, your host and favorite yapper, and we are constantly on the journey to go outside our comfort zone and live life to the fullest. So I'll give you some updates from this week. I last spoke with you on Monday. That was Labor Day holiday. So this week starts on Tuesday. And one of my Texas colleagues was in office, and that was really fun to see them and get to share lunch together and just have a familiar face in the office. So that was a delight. And for lunch on Tuesday, our office has food trucks that come to the office, and I live under a rock and never know when the food trucks are coming. And I am a Trader Joe's girl through and through, and pretty much every day I eat mac and cheese from Trader Joe's, and they had a bad batch. So all last week, my mac and cheese was terrible. So this week I did not go to the grocery store in time. So I was eating food trucks every day, which was its fun adventure. And I got to hit 2 food trucks that I had been anticipating and trying to remember to do that I just never did because I live on the same schedule. I just keep doing the same thing. So I got to try. So one of them was a Greek Euro food truck on Tuesday. Delicious. I got Euro loaded tots. It was delicious. So that was a good lunch. And we'll see if I remember to go to the store this week and try a different mac and cheese. I'm waiting for the butternut squash mac and cheese to come out for the fall. I don't know if it's already in stores, but that is my favorite. I will be loading up on that. So stay tuned about my Trader Joe's mac and cheese adventures. And on Tuesday, this entire, series, this channel is talking about out of your comfort zone. And last week I told you guys that I just didn't really feel like being outside of my comfort zone. And there's part of me that feels like a failure in some ways because I'm so striving for this fulfilled life, filled with joy and all these things, and pushing myself to be out of my comfort zone is part of that. Anyways, on Tuesday, I had this boom moment that I realized I am out of my comfort zone every single day at work right now. Every single day. So that made me find some grace for myself, because why the heck would I think I have capacity to be outside of my comfort zone the entire day? So I'm already outside of my comfort zone at work, and it is a crazy standard to expect myself to be out of my comfort zone, finding ways to socialize and grow my community and all that stuff outside of work. Madison, let's get it together. So I realized that, and it made things make sense. There were moments of this move when we were first in the area that I was out of my comfort zone just in general, and then that kind of settled for a little bit. The variables at work were just constant, so there wasn't that added layer of out of comfort zone. And now we're out of our comfort zone. So the next day took it to therapy, and we'll get there. But yeah, so that was a realization. So Tuesday, after I got home, Evan and I decided let's go spontaneously, and we went to our favorite ice cream shop, Salt and Straw. And since it was a new month of September, all of the new flavors were there, and they're doing an apple month, and it was just fun to taste test all of the new flavors. Evan did it with me too, so it was just really fun to share that. And then we just walked around the waterfront for a little bit, and that was Tuesday. Next day was Wednesday, and I had a work project that didn't go as planned, and I'm learning to be flexible and have patience, but those are not my strengths. Nope. I'm gonna try to control everything that I can, and I like to plan for every single thing. So Wednesday, out of my comfort zone again. Yeah, I sure was. Didn't go well. And so then luckily I had therapy. We got to talk about many things, and in it, she was telling me that, Madison, you couldn't have known XYZ. All you can do is prepare as best as you can, but you cannot know XYZ ahead of time. And I was like, that is so fair. She said, you can't be upset with yourself for not having anticipated something you didn't know. So I was like, okay. So I am trying back to that patience and trying not to control everything. I am trying to find the happy balance, trying to find the grace of the in-between, because I really, when I don't feel good, when I feel out of my comfort zone, my default is to control everything that I can, and I just simply cannot. And there are things that are going to be successes, and there are things that are not, and life still goes on, which is crazy. So in therapy also, I was trying to ask about the happy medium, the balance between pushing myself outside of my comfort zone and knowing to just like rest and just to take it easy. And she was like, well, let's do this exercise. So we close our eyes. She's like, okay, imagine yourself doing the thing, imagine yourself not doing the thing. You take some time to envision both paths. And I was like, I'm not going to this thing. So I ended up not going to games, which made me a little bit sad, but also a little relieved. And so if there's a sense of relief for saying no to a plan, that was my gut telling me, don't go and just prioritize yourself. But that is foreign to me, and I want to get better at listening to myself and not just pushing myself for the sake of pushing myself. So she also was reminding me that we're going to go through seasons where there's going to be seasons where I am just vibrant and socializing and finding my people. And then there will be seasons where I am more just to myself. And she also reminded me that second to myself in what I have communicated as my value is Evan and my marriage. And so she was asking me, so are you and Evan getting time together? And I was like, fair, so fair. So it just was another just mirror moment where she just shows it to you. And I'm so concerned about me finding community and but truth is I got to take care of myself first. And then after that, Evan, not take care of him, but what's the word? Pour in to that relationship. And then it's all the other things. So I was like, that makes it way easier to remind myself that that is the priority that I have set for myself, and that's how I live my life. So anyways, Wednesday therapy was great. Needed it. Was feeling like a failure after work. Anyways, so then that night took it easy, didn't go to games. It was an early night for me. Evan and I started watching Scandal together. That is a blast from the past. I was obsessed with Scandal in college. And so it was good to just watch kind of a comfort show, but also I don't remember everything. So it's just fun to rewatch that in a together activity with Evan. And then the next day was Thursday. So we're getting close to the weekend, and Thursday had a delicious another food truck, and it was a Hawaiian chicken place and it was delightful. Got to have lunch with the Texas colleague again and their friends, and it was just good to be around people, and I really enjoyed that. And then on my way home, I caught up and talked to my sister, and her husband was there, and my niece was there. Hello. And yeah, it was just fun to catch up with them all together. And then it was time to pack for the weekend. And we all know how much I procrastinate packing. So I got home and I told Evan I don't want to do it. He said, you know, you could just do it later. And I was like, no, I got to do it. So I ended up doing it, and I was proud of myself. It took way less time than I thought. And then also to just wind down for the evening, we watched one more episode of Scandal, so that was good to spend time together. And then Friday, boom, 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 weekend, initiate the weekend. So we went to a vacation up to the northwest, the Upper Peninsula of Washington. Stayed in Forks. If anyone is a Twilight fan, we saw a couple things of Twilight, but honestly I wasn't there for that. This coming week though, I think it might be some anniversary with Bella and Edward. I think there might be something, because there's a whole Twilight festival this coming week for Forks. So to all those who celebrate, may the vampire be with you. Anyways, so on our way to Forks and to go explore, we stopped for dinners halfway, and at this place in Aberdeen, Wendy's, not at this place. We stopped at Wendy's in Aberdeen because on the window I saw, oh, you can mix and match and whatever. So we went inside, ended up getting food, and it felt like food for ants. Now, is it probably the correct portion size for an adult? Yeah. But did I want more? Yeah, I sure did. Felt like my burger was maybe like 3 bites. So anyways, we had a Wendy's snack. It felt like a little Wendy's appetizer. And then on our way driving to Forks, we were seeing that the sun was starting to set. And then I recognized a sign that someone told me to go to the beach, and it was Claylock Lodge. And we were seeing the sunset. So I was like, Evan, let's turn. So we turned. And then we went out there and we caught the last couple minutes of the sunset, and that was just really fun. And there's just something about a beach sunset that's just delightful. I love the colors. So we did that, caught that, and then we still had maybe 45 minutes to our Airbnb. And when we pulled in, it was dark, and there were elk in the middle of the road, and we're like, I was driving. I said, Evan, are they gonna charge us? Because they're right in front of our Airbnb where we need to go. And I just waited, had my brights on, saw them, and they were just cruising along, and then just paused for a little bit. They ended up moving, which is great. No elk were harmed, no Madisons were harmed. And so we got in, settled, took showers, and then it was time for bed. Then the next day, I know that you all have seen my red flagness in vacations as I make us wake up so early, and we've got to get to the parks and get to the hikes really early. Well, we slept in, you guys. Slept until 7 a.m. So it felt like a happy medium. So 7 a.m., we headed to the Upper Peninsula, the highest, most northwestern part of the contiguous United States, and we hiked the Cape Flattery Trail, and it was really fun. It was a shorter hike, but that elevation at the end still got me, you guys. It still gives me. It's just a little bit of elevation, but it still got me. But it was beautiful. It was so lush, so green, and then there were opportunities to go see the water, and the watercolor is just so blue, so gorgeous. And it was foggy and it was kind of misty, and that's why everything is so green up here, is because it's raining all the time. And it was a little bit of a bummer because when we got to the furthest point at the water, there was some island that we could just barely see through the fog. And then it started to lift, and then there was a little tiny rainbow, but then it started getting foggy again. So we just kind of were like, well, I guess that we saw what we're gonna see. And when we were waiting for the fog to move, to clear, we met a couple that was from Pennsylvania, and we just started chatting with them a little bit, and they showed us some of their adventures and what they had done on their vacation, and just got to randomly talk to these strangers. So that was fun. And then after that, we headed back to the Airbnb for a little break, and then we went and got lunch at Sully's Burgers. It was a pretty decent burger, but they have a Bella burger, so I think Twilight people go there. And then after that, we headed to go to some more beach time. We went to the Claylock Beach to go see the Tree of Life, and there was a parking area, and it said that the path was closed to get down to the beach and to go a different way, but no one was listening to that. But there's a reason that it was closed, because there were some big steps in there, and because it was not it was not up to par. So we navigated that. After Tree of Life, we went up north to Ruby Beach, and I sat on the beach, brought my chair, read some book, and Evan did a little stroll on the beach as he likes to do. And then we went back to the Airbnb for a real break. We had like an hour and a half, so we took a nap. When I woke up from that nap, I was like, I don't want to keep sleeping, but we had plans, you guys. And our Airbnb was right next to some guy that had an auto shop, and he was going rum, 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 with some engine. And so we're on the cusp of sleep from this nap, and we just hear this car rum, 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 engine. It's crazy. And so after we woke from our naps, it was time to head to Rialto Beach. So we got to Rialto Beach, and we were trying to time it with the low tide. And we were hiking to Hole in the Wall, which is literally a hole in a rock. And at low tide, you can cross through it, and there's just a big rock bed that you can just walk around. It was slippery, so it was interesting to see the different creatures. There was these green things that I feel like were sea urchins, but I could be making that up. But we did see some starfish, which were cool. You could see little like clams and snails all on the rocks. And then we made it to the hole in the wall. And then I was really excited to see a sunset because it's like beach sunsets are it. But it was really, really foggy and cloudy, and you couldn't really see very far. But then once we got closer to the rock and different places, you could see. But we made it to the hole in the wall. We saw a sea lion, we saw a pelican eat a fish, and then we're walking back to the car, and you could not see the sunset at all, you guys. I just kept making jokes to Evan. I was like, wow, what a nice sunset. Because Evan was convinced that it was just going to get darker, and I was like, no. As it goes down the horizon, surely something is going to peek through, like at the very bottom. Sure didn't. Sure did not. No sunset, you guys. So then it was time to drive home. We had planned to get pizza for dinner, and we did not have signal like ever. So it was just playing a game of trying to remember how to get back to the Airbnb, and then, oh, well, we have signal. Okay, route us here. And then I was trying to look up the menu for this pizza place. It was a disaster. So we ended up showing up to the pizza place, and we look at the menu. We're like, okay, we're gonna get a half and half pizza. And then the guy's like, let me check and see how long it's gonna be. And we're like, okay, sounds good. And then he took a while, and he's like, yeah, it's gonna be at least an hour. And we're like, okay. So we place our order because honestly, in small towns, there's not many options, and that's why the pizza place is an hour. And so I went to a grocery store. Evan wanted some Nerd clusters. We scavenged this grocery store. No Nerd clusters. We ended up getting some impulse snacks with, we love adult money and adult decisions. And we got some jalapeno chips, and then we got some oatmeal cream pies. Oh yeah. Then we were like, well, we still need Nerds clusters. So I told Evan, let's go to the gas station. So we went to the gas station. I went inside, found some Nerds clusters, and I also found the Oreo Reese's collab. It was just a little 4 cookies of Oreos. And I was like, that is the perfect size. So we get back to the Airbnb, time to shower. We had a little appetizer of chips, jalapeno chips, and an appetizer with oatmeal cream pie. Delicious. And then I don't remember if this was before or after dinner. Anyways, so then Evan tries to call the pizza place and asks to verify that our pizza is ready, because why are we going to go to the pizza place if it's not ready? Talks to one person. Hi, I'm calling to see the status of the order for Madison, estimate for how long it'll take. First person says, okay, let me check. They don't put it on a hold because you can hear all the background noise. Then second person, not the same person, hello, how can I help you? And Evan says the same thing. And then by this time he's on speakerphone, and a third person comes. He says, I have now spoken. You're the third person. I'm trying to figure out how long until this pizza is ready. Anyways, he gets an answer. And then we head to the pizza place, and we're done for the evening, get to have some pizza. It's not even good. It is not even good. It was kind of burnt. The crust was a weird texture. Not even good, you guys. So that was that. And then it was time to go to bed. And our Airbnb we had terrible cell service, and the Airbnb did not have good Wi-Fi. It was like a hit or miss, which made navigating and trying to find things on maps and researching the day before, it made it all hard. So then we just went to bed. A lot of times we like to scroll before bed. It just helps turn off the brain for us, and so we didn't get to do that. Anyways, went to bed. Now it's Sunday. It's today. We woke up, slept in until 7, hit the road, and went to the Olympic National Park, went to Hoh Rainforest, and many parts of our journey on the road had construction where there were like bridges that went to one lane. And so all throughout the park and our travels, there were lights, like stoplights, that would have one lane go and then you wait and then the other lane. It was really fascinating to see how they navigated that instead of having people there to say slow, stop, slow, stop. So that was interesting because I had not seen that before. And then when we first got to Hoh Rainforest, we did the Hall of Mosses hike, which is really cool. It takes you through like an old growth forest, and you just see these trees draped in the moss. And then we saw that there was going to be a ranger talk, and we made it back for the ranger talk, and it was so good. He taught us all kinds of things about a rainforest, what trees we were seeing, the different pine cones, and how salmon are integral into the health of the rainforest. And it was just so wild and so cool, delivered in such an expert way. And it was just really fun to watch somebody passionate about nature get to tell us and share with us all that information in such a accessible way. And yeah, the national parks, you guys, are so important. The current administration is trying to do terrible things for the national parks. So use your vote, use your voice, because our nature and our lands are very important. So I will not stay on this, but the current administration. Okay, I need to. After that, after learning with the ranger, we went to learn, we got to do the hike for the Spruce Trail. And so we had gotten to hear about things in the ranger talk and then see them live in action as we went through on that hike. So that was really cool. Then we explored the visitor center. It was smaller than we were thinking, and they didn't have a deck of cards, so I'll have to figure out something for my deck of cards for travels. And then it was time to head home, and we stopped in that town again, Aberdeen. This time we went to Burger King, and I have not had Burger King or Wendy's in years. Burger King, that's a lie. I think I did Burger King when we went on this random trip back in May. Anyways, went to Burger King, really slow. And the poor workers were so stressed, and I could just hear them, and they were really busy. They were like, the dine-in is busy, the drive-through, and then the online orders. They were really overwhelmed, and it sounded like they were trying to call in backup employees, and no one was answering. I was just like, ugh. I remember being at the mercy of the public and scheduling, and it's just awful. And I was like, we're just waiting for a burger. Like, it's okay if it takes a while. You just tell people, hey, we're short-staffed and it's gonna be a little bit. Cool. Anyways, then on our way home for the rest of the journey, we were listening to podcasts, and I got to listen to one of my favorite podcasts, which is A Necessary Conversation, and they talk about politics. The parents are very MAGA, and the children are very not. And I love listening to their discussions. And this week it was just the siblings, and that was really fun to listen to. And then, yeah, we made it home, and we were filling up water bottles. Evan used all of the water, you guys. He filled up his water bottle and then gave me like enough for a couple slurps. I told him that I was going to expose him on this podcast. He done did me dirty. I was like, oh wow, thank you so much. So I gave him some hard time about that. And then we made it home, and now I'm doing the podcast. And then after the podcast, I'm going to build my standing desk. And then after that, hopefully I can make a peep for someone that returns to work after having her first baby tomorrow. And then maybe we can watch some Scandal and try to avoid thinking about work. Because my production doesn't define me, and literally nothing defines me. I'm worthy of love just as I am. I don't have to prove my worth to anybody, and I'm gonna do my best to have a good week. So thanks for the Yap Sesh Yappers. I hope you have a wonderful week. You are not defined by your production or any of your achievements. You don't have to do a dang thing, and you are still so worthy of love. So whether or not you decide to go out of your comfort zone this week or not, I hope you have a wonderful week. You're doing your best. That's all you can do. Bye.